just within an inch of your life, just within an inch of that knife. Don't you know it's just a seduction device? Don't you know it's just a right? Yes, it's just a seduction device. Don't you know it's not right? You're just an issue away from the knife. It's not right. That's a seduction device. It's just not right. Looks like a stiletto, looks like a knife. Don't feel right. Don't feel right. It's not a prop. This ain't no movie. You come to see me, but you don't move me. You come to play with a Miss Josephine, but you look like you're just a thief. You know, sex is cheap. You know you're not even discreet. I know you want me down on my knees, and you don't understand, and that's not how it be. You told me it's just a seduction device. It looks like a stiletto, it looks like a knife. It's something to do, feel quite right. I'm within an inch of taking your life. Lightning's gonna go straight through. You do that, dude. Lightning's gonna go straight through. It looks like it's just a knife. You said it was a seduction device. You said that you're hype and you're not right. You said that you're tight and you're way that light. You say goodnight is the only delight, but I say I'm gonna take and give you back that knife. You say you got me within the inch of the knife. You say that you don't like happy, you just like the hype. You just wanna see if shorty's got the hype. But I told you I could take you within an inch of your life. You say the shorties, they don't have the hype. But I told you, Miss Josephine, I got the hype. I could take you, darling, within an inch of your life. And then you could feel, well, is that right? That ain't no fucking seduction device. That looks like a stiletto. It looks like a knife. And it don't feel quite right. You said shorties don't have the hype, but Josephine's got the hype. You know I'm the dark of the night. I could take you within an inch of your life. I know that I don't feel that you're quite right. I'm gonna take you within an inch of the night. There ain't no effing seduction device. Looks like a stiletto, looks like a 6-inch knife. You said you could take me, well you can't take me tonight. I will go and break you and make you feel the light. The lightning goes right through you right tonight. Oh, did you feel that pain? It ripped right through your into your brain. Oh, 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 right through your brain, through your inner tube. Oh, that's the way it goes. Oh, Josephine just took another soul. My another lie. Just another dirty guy. Just another dirty guy. Sure, I'm a shorty, but I got the height.
This Sam Like a Ghost, and we're talking about the track Seduction Device, which is a track that we wrote a while back, and it's kind of a jam session that we did, and we just did this kind of stream of consciousness lyrics where Josephine confronts a serial killer or somebody who's you know a violent felon who's going after women with a knife and calling it a seduction device, a 6-inch stiletto. And Josephine, because she's a phantom and she's kind of like somewhat of a superhero in a way, because she can be material and immaterial, ethereal and non-ethereal. And this guy doesn't know that. He thinks he can attack Josephine, and so she finds this guy, and he's trying to act like it's a seduction device, and she should just give up everything to him. And she basically says, she's gonna take him within an inch of his life, she's gonna put the lightning straight through him. And it was a strange song. It just kind of came out of this idea that Josephine had a couple songs where she had gone after people and kind of made felons pay. She had a song where she went after this rich, aristocratic CEO back at the beginning of our career when we were working on Something Wicked. We had a song that we didn't put on any album, but we had a song where she was basically, kind of lured a CEO that was a violent misogynist, and kind of left him in his hotel room naked with like lipstick on him, saying that he was like a pedophile or he was a criminal. So we took the idea that Josephine's gonna do this again with this other person who's like a serial killer, and then see where it goes. And we kind of just had this concept, and then we were able to do some interesting stuff with our mode, and we basically used a Moog DPAM. We had just gotten it, and we basically just focused on the kick drum, and then we built a groove around it, and we just let it go, and kind of just let Josephine. We kind of, with Josephine Electric, we kind of treat it like we're into an actor, playing a role, and we just kind of go into this method acting concept of thinking Josephine's a dominatrix. Josephine's the lead singer of a band full of ghosts. She's kind of supernatural, and then she can go in and out of this world, and she can, what she says, she can take lightning straight through. She can kind of channel lightning through people because she's Miss Electric. So she has this ability to use electricity to like attack people, but also she's like within Van Electric Ghost, because we're using synthesizers and controlled voltage. She is kind of at home with synthesizers because she feels them, and sometimes she kind of talks about synthesizers as being sexual partners because she can communicate them through her ability to channel electricity. So then, sometimes she's talking about, putting the CD in a sexual way, just because she's electric and these synths are electric, and she can communicate with them in that way. And that they can have, like, electronic computer machine love, which we've talked about in the song of It'll Never Last Death and That, like, machine love's not alive. It's this idea that she really can make love to machines, because she gets drawn into this attractive synthesis. She gets drawn into the whole concept. And so this song is another old song that we kind of brought back and remastered. and we're gonna release it, and we've actually put it on schedule with Bentley, and it's just a lot of times. Sometimes we come up with new ideas. A lot of times, like I said, we use teenage engineering, OPZ, come up with new concepts and bring them into our workflow. But this one's all Moog, all Roland, Arturia, our typical tools. We're very interested again in the Moog matriarch, and we keep on going back and forth between like the matriarch, the System A, the UDO Super 6, in terms of getting another synth. And we really want to get another poly synth, kind of like a Prophet or like a Moog 1, but we can't afford a Prophet XL, we can't afford a Moog 1. We could probably afford a UDO Super 6, but that's not even out. So the other alternative would be um, the Roland System 8, which we've been looking at for like 3 years. We actually played one in Boston when it first came out, and we were very impressed with it. We just would like Roland to like beef it up. We've been kind of waiting and seeing it. Would Roland ever, extend System 8? Give it a 61 key keyboard, velocity sensitivity, give it a little more heft, you know, give it more of the form of a Juno 106 or a Jupiter 8, make it have a little more heft. Now, I know they've tried to make a lightweight keyboards. I have a Juno that has kind of like a GI, and they've changed the way they build their sense to 106. But it would be really cool if they would beef it up, because it's a really good synth, and it probably doesn't get the props you should get because it doesn't have 61 keys. It's not built like the Juno. It's not even built like the FA08. I think it's probably because Aria did it, and they were trying to do it in a different way. But it's such a good technology and such a capable synth that if it would be extended to a bigger keyboard, a little more heft, and maybe like I talked about, 16 voices um, on all of those instruments, which is probably a big task to do that. That they weren't designed to do that, so you'd have to do a lot of work. But it's been a bunch of years since it's come out. We haven't seen a new synth from Roland since like the only thing we saw was like the Roland Accent, which is a really cool synth, but its menu system and its connectivity is kind of like not up to modern standards, so we're kind of like okay. But it's a guitar, it's pretty cool, and I've always wanted a guitar. But I've talked about before that people seem to be more impressed with me playing my board on a stand and doing a guitar sound than actually if I was wearing it, I'd probably get laughed at compared to actually playing it as a keyboard, because people don't expect the guitar to be coming out of a keyboard that's like sitting on a stand. But when they see you on a guitar, they expect you're going to be trying to do that, and then they're like, well, why don't you just play guitar? So I think sometimes like the presentation of the guitar might not work for certain audiences, and the keyboard actually has a better appeal, which I find. But either way, I mean, as a keyboard, you always want a guitar, but I understand the impact of it might be negative impact compared to what I thought it would be. But the whole idea of the guitar is to get the keyboards in front of the audience. And we see people like Herbie Hancock, do it, and some other artists do it. They kind of get in front of people. It does allow you to do what the guitarist does. It gets you allow it, but you don't want to be the T-Rex hand. Like when you have to play two hands, it's better to put it back on the stand. If you're going to do, but a lot of things I do with the guitar that allow me to sound like the guitar is actually use two hands on the Juno to do a lot of cool things. Some things you can't do on the guitar, because then I can do chords in one hand and melody in the other. And Hendrix could do that, because he would kind of use his thumb to put down like a couple strings and then play melodies and get two sounds coming out. I think Stevie Ray Vaughan could do that. Some guitar players can kind of play like a piano player because they put a lot of effort into it. But yeah, that's the problem, is the kind of T-Rex hands that you go in that method. You kind of get yourself in trouble a little bit and with the audience, because you got to get laughed out the room. So again, the other alternative is the matriarch, which is a paraphonic synth from Moog. And I think it hasn't fully been released yet. We saw Luke Pop do an awesome review. We're waiting for the Sweetwater review and some of the other reviews. But looks like that is like what I've been looking for. Even though it only has 4-note polyphony, but it has 4 oscillators. You can do an LFO. You can turn one of the LFOs to another oscillator. It has a second LFO, so I don't know if you can actually get 6 oscillators out of this thing or not. But the fact that it has a polyphonic sequencer, it's got like over 90 modulation points of CV. And it has a really good key bed. So it would probably be the best keyboard I have in terms of keyboards, and then I can use the MIDI capabilities of it. So I've been leaning towards Matriarch because it's got the right price. I mean, $2,000 for what that is and what it can do in terms of like having like a CPC mixer in it, a 911 module, I think the 910 module, and then a full analog reverb. Now the one thing is like it's kind of disappointing is it doesn't have the spring reverb from the grandmother, because I guess they want to give the grandmother a selling point. So now the grandmother's selling point is that it has that spring reverb, a real one. Which, if you go back into synth history, like the EMS BC3, that had a spring reverb. And I think an older modular modes have spring reverb module on like the System 55 or the 33. So you had to go back to look for those kind of synths to get to see that. So the grandmother in itself is worth that. The spring reverb alone and its capability, and it's compact. It's a smaller one if you want to bring it to a gig. It is heavy, but you can bring it to a gig easier than a matriarch. And so if you want to have a really good analog sound, you can really have a lot. And up until the matriarch, it was a valid replacement for the mini Model D. But this matriarch is even like better than the Model D. It's like more like a Voyager, but even better than the Voyager because it has more paraphony, which means it's 4-note paraphonic. But most paraphonic synths are only like 2-note or 3-note at the most. So 4-note is pretty impressive, and you can do a lot as a musician with the 4 notes. So a full polyphonic keyboard again, like you look at a System 8, you look at the UDO Super 6, which is the FGPA technology. And again, I've talked about whether or not the Roland technology that's in the System 8, which is the analog behavioral modeling, is FGPA and analog behavioral modeling the same thing. This Roland just came up with a technology a little bit ahead of it that allows the System 1 and the System 8 to use this plug-out technology. Is plug out the same thing as FGPA? I'm not sure. I'm thinking that it's not, because they Roland, why don't they say FGPA? They don't. They say analog behavioral modeling, which seems to do the same thing. If you read about what it does, it mirrors the analog circuitry, so it seems like it's the same concept as FGPA, but it seems to be implemented typically Japanese technology. It's like, the way Sony would implement things totally different than anybody else. So it ends up not being standard with FGPA technology that you see in a lot of new synths, like the UDO Super 6, like the Quantum, the Waldorf Quantum, and then the Waldorf Super, the real super synth is coming from Waldorf, this modular type of box type of synth. Doesn't have a keyboard, but it's a very impressive machine. We haven't seen it yet. It's supposed to have like, I don't know, like crazy polyphony, like crazy amount of voices, like over 128, maybe 256. It's supposed to be amazing. The amount of oscillators they can trigger and the amount of voices they can trigger at the same time. So the FGPA technology seems to be, the 21st century answer to the problems digital technology brought. Like when we got the digital synths, we had all this aliasing and stepping and stuff we didn't like, and then people wanted to go back to analog, and so we've had this kind of resurgence of analog synths, and people wanted to get back into analog because of what it can do. And then what it can do is it gives you a fat, natural sound, kind of like a guitar or like an organ. So it gives you that weight and that ambience that you want. I think what happened in the day is like the analog synths are so heavy in the mix. Some like engineers thought they were too heavy, and when synths like the DX7 and the Roland D50 came out, people were able to be a little bit more delicate in their arrangements and have these like bell sounds and ambient sounds and piano and string sounds and kind of soundtrack type of sounds I would describe that don't overwhelm the mix. But I would argue that some of these things that overwhelm the mix are actually pretty cool. The fact that you can have these massive bass sounds and massive leads that the digitals couldn't do. Now with the FTPA, the digital sense can replicate that analog heft, but also give you the bells of like West Coast synthesis and the kind of strangeness of that. So the ability to merge West Coast synthesis, sample-based synthesis, FM synthesis, you know, um, and I think tractor synthesis. I think the ability to kind of do them all at the same time is like the new trend. And the FGPA seems to be able to do that. But then you still have things like the Moog 1 and the Moog Matriarch that like live in this pure analog world, except for the Moog 1's got digital effects, but it's having that pure analog signal path like a Prophet 6, that is so, as a keyboardist, as a synthesis, that is still very desirable, plus the Eurorack solutions. Like Eurorack just make you be able to, or allow you to just build your own custom synth. And I do have a Turing 6U where I've built, it customized to a certain degree. I've taken a Moog Mother 32 and a DFAM. Then I have a Pittsburgh modular 2x4 mixer. Then I have the Make Noise utility module, which is one of the most popular Eurorack modules because it lets you kind of control everything in your Eurorack. Plus, they're having the mixer gives me even more control. And then I have a Make Noise kind of like modulation capability that allows you to patch. It's like a script that just allows you to take a lot of TV signals and then route them any way you want. So on top of the Pittsburgh system, I can actually route a signal into this like Make Noise module that allows me to just like move things around, which is pretty cool. And that's always good. To be able to take signals and control the DCA and then or control where things are going to go, kind of reroute them. It's what you want in the Eurorack, it's the ability to kind of split things around. And that's what's cool about the Make Noise morphogene. It allows you to take in a lot of signals and then reroute them and change them and add exponential and logarithmic processing to the signal and delays, all kinds of interesting things that you can do. It can act like an LFO, it can act like an oscillator, it can act like a delay, it can do a lot of really cool things. Do a lot of Poromental type of effects and time shifting things. And then I also have the morphogene, which is an amazing Eurorack based sampler. We've used it to sample our own sounds, take drum beats from our Arturia Beatstep Pro, take drum beats from Teenage Engineering OPZ, and then radically change them or loop them in different ways. It's just a really interesting sampler. It has over 3 minute time samples and all kinds of time shifting and looping. And it's a visual color based system like all the Make Noise stuff. It's based on color cues. You have to learn what the colors mean, and then you can know what you're doing based on the feedback of the colors on a device, which is kind of like Buchla like. I like that kind of thing. It's the whole point of using hardware synth compared to using a DAW. It's the ability to kind of do this play to filter that Sonic State would talk about. When you actually, it's a little bit more than play to filter. When you have these hardware synths, you can touch all the knobs and the sliders, and it allows you to manipulate the sound in real time. And if you record it into like a Tascam or a Zoom, L20 or like we have a R24, then it allows you to to record things in real time, and then get that kind of stream of consciousness jam band feel of playing the filters live, and you get unique sounds that nobody else is gonna have because you're not taking it from some soft synth, you're not taking it from a sample that pack that you bought from somebody. You actually create it yourself, and I'm a proponent of kind of creating your own tones and your own beats, your own loops, not going out and getting them from Splice or Fruity Loops, or which is what a lot of DJs do. And a lot of electronic musicians today, some of them don't have Euro racks, they don't have hardware synths, they use a lot of soft synths, and they do sometimes they create their own patches from these soft synths, but a lot of times they just take things that already exist and then manipulate them in their DAW and don't actually play. They're more producers than musicians, and there's a difference. Uh, I've talked to a lot of people who are producers versus musicians. Personally, I always kind of gravitate toward musicians, which that's where I'm coming from. But I can understand producers, and in the modern world with an EDM and hip hop and trance, hip hop, rap, producers have a place in our industry, and they're actually doing very well. But I want people to not forget the the, the skill it takes to actually play a keyboard or to be a synthesis. I think it's a valid thing, and it shouldn't be lost, and we shouldn't act like that. Shouldn't strive to learn how to play your board or learn how to, come up with chords and actually play them instead of writing them into a DAW. I think there's a place for the other technology capabilities, but I think there's no substitute for being a musician, a pure musician. So that's an opinion. Some people might say, "Oh, I don't like that because the modern world says you don't have to be that." But I just gravitate that way. So that's on my soapbox again. But we'll talk to you later. Remember, if you like us, become a supporter of the podcast at $1 or $5 or $10. If you become a supporter, we'll get you some stuff. So check us out, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.